This man implemented the Dosala system, which required tax payment equivalent to a third of the mean produced of the last decade. This ruler married the Rajput princess Hira Kunwari to gain popularity with his Hindu subjects, and repealed the jizya tax on non-Muslims. This winner of the Second Battle of Panipat created the Din-e-Ilahi, a syncretic religion combining Islam, Hinduism, Zoroastrianism, and Christianity. This emperor exiled his childhood teacher Bairam Khan and fought his son and successor Jahangir. For 10 points, name this grandson of Babur and the third Mughal emperor, often called the Great. And the answer is Akbar. This man sent statues made of wood instead of pure gold to the Mitanni king Tushratta, leading to conflict between those two men. The younger lady mummy is most likely this man's sister and wife, while the tomb KV55, discovered by Edward Ireton, likely contained the mummy of this pharaoh. This leader created a new capital on the east bank of the Nile, Amarna. Shortly after the beginning of his reign, this man removed the Amun from his own name, signifying a change in official religion. For 10 points, name this husband of Nefertiti and father of Tutankhamun who instituted the first example of monotheism by worshipping the sun god Aten. And the answer is Akhenaten. Unrest in this country caused by the murder of James Scobie led to the formation of the Ballarat Reform League and backlash from thousands of gold miners. After Lachlan Macquarie filled the position of the deposed William Bligh, the Rum Rebellion broke out in this country. This country's longest-serving prime minister was Robert Menzies, who founded its Liberal Party and famously called the middle class the forgotten people. A leader of this country gave a speech apologizing for the mistreatment of its stolen generations, and that Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, was succeeded by Julia Gillard in 2010. Aborigines are the indigenous people of, for 10 points, what country whose capital is Canberra? And the answer is Australia. Mishaps on one voyage led Pedro de los Rios to withdraw support of this man. After that, this man famously drew a line in the sand and asked his men to stay with him, but only 13 stayed. Those men became known as the famous 13. This man received help from longtime partner Diego Almagro, but he was killed by Almagro's forces in the Battle of Las Salinas. This victor of the Battle of Cajamarca founded the city of Lima after executing Atahualpa. For 10 points, name this Spanish conquistador who conquered the Incan Empire. And the answer is Francisco Pizarro. After an ambassador sent by this man was executed, he invaded the Jin dynasty and won his largest victory at the Battle of Badgermouth. The Uyghur script was adopted by this man as his people's official written system, and in an effort to urge absolute obedience, he implemented the Yasa law code. Before defeating the Kievan Rus at the Battle of Kalka River, this man demolished the Khwarezmian Empire. This husband of Borte ruled over the largest contiguous land area of any ruler in history, and he was succeeded by his son Ogedei, who was succeeded by his grandson Kublai. For 10 points, name this emperor, alternatively known as Temujin, the founder of the Mongol Empire. And the answer is Genghis Khan. This country's town of Masapano witnessed a police operation in January 2015 that targeted terrorists such as the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, while in September 2016, the group Abu Sayyaf killed 15 people in its Davao city. This country's leader claimed he would be happy to slaughter 3 million drug addicts and likened himself to Hitler. That man is Rodrigo Duterte. Haiyan was the deadliest typhoon recorded in this nation, killing over 10,000 of its people. Luzon is the largest island making up this country and contains its capital. For 10 points, identify this Southeast Asian island nation whose capital is Manila. And the answer is the Philippines. Shortly before this man died, some extraordinary chambers were formed in partnership with the UN to assess his collaborators. This man's orders were carried out at places like Cheong Ek. This man worked with Iang Sari, Nuon Chea, and Comrade Duke, who operated a facility in a former high school, usually known by a numerical abbreviation. This man called himself Brother Number 1 and ruled Kampuchea starting in year 0 after the overthrow of Lon Nol. This man had people who spoke foreign languages or wore glasses murdered by the millions at killing fields. For 10 points, name this genocidal leader of the Khmer Rouge and dictator of Cambodia. And the answer is Pol Pot. People from this region were depicted in a 1926 novel by Ricardo Guiraldez. A group of people from this region used a large knife called a facon. This region is home to the majority of large hacienda-like ranches called estancias. It's not in Spain, but a university was founded in 1613 in this region city of Córdoba. Inhabitants of this region were depicted throwing weapons called bolas in José Hernández's epic poem Martín Fierro. The state of Rio Grande do Sul is in this region, which lies southeast of the Gran Chaco and north of Patagonia. Buenos Aires is found in, for 10 points, what grasslands region of Argentina, home to many cattle raised by gauchos. And the answer is the Pampas. The former Prime Minister of Ukraine, Pavlo Lazarenko, was one of many leaders mentioned in these documents. These publications were created by law firm Mossack Fonseca. Edward Snowden called them the biggest leak in the history of data journalism. As a result of these documents, Sigmund Gunnlaugsson, the Prime Minister of Iceland, resigned. Soccer star Lionel Messi was found guilty of tax fraud after these documents were leaked as well. For 10 points, name these documents leaked by the ICIJ, which showed how multiple corporations and individuals avoided paying higher taxes. And the answer is the Panama Papers. The Lancaster Agreement ended one conflict in this country, and the Bishop Abel Muzorewa briefly served as its leader. A 15-year civil war in this country was known as the Bush War and ended a majority white government under Ian Smith. This country saw conflict between the British colonizers and the native Ndebele people. This country shares its name with an ancient kingdom and great city, and was earlier named after the governor of the Cape Colony. The current president of this country, who has led the ZANUPF party for over 40 years and won narrowly over Morgan Van Girai in 2008, is Robert Mugabe. For 10 points, name this African country, formerly known as Rhodesia, whose capital is Harare. And the answer is Zimbabwe.